February, the last plane leaves Antarctica. For the next 8 months, there's no rescue, no escape, no second chances. This isn't about exploration. It's about what happens when 40 people get locked inside an industrial building at the bottom of the world, where a 2-minute shower costs more than most people earn in a day, and where going outside without gear means 60 seconds before your skin freezes solid. This is about the cost of being human in a place that was never meant for humans. In Amundsen Scott's South Pole Station, the last LC-130 cargo plane sits on the ice runway, engines running. Some people are leaving, some are staying. The ones staying, 40 to 150 people depending on the station, know what's coming. 8 months, no flights in, no flights out. Here's what everyone needs to understand. When that plane takes off, these people become more isolated than astronauts on the ISS. That's not dramatic, that's math. ISS astronauts can return to Earth within hours if something goes wrong. Antarctic winter over cruise, 0 options. Aircraft hydraulic fluid freezes solid below -40 degrees Celsius. Control surfaces stop working. And inland Antarctic stations don't just hit -40, they blow past it. South Pole averages -49. Concordia drops below -80. Exposed skin gets frostbite in under 60 seconds. Metal tools shatter like glass. Human breath freezes mid-exhale and falls to the ground as ice crystals. The South Pole Station sits on an ice sheet over 9,000 feet thick, but the body doesn't experience it as 9,000 feet. The extreme cold and low pressure create a physiological altitude of 10 to 11,000 feet. New arrivals spend days gasping for air, fighting headaches, unable to sleep. Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth. The air inside stations is even drier. Constant dehydration, chapped lips that crack and bleed, nosebleeds that won't stop. Static electricity builds up so fast that grounding plates get installed just so people don't get shocked constantly. Every medical emergency, every equipment failure, every fight between crew members, it all has to be resolved internally. Each station has a doctor, but no specialists, no ICU, no real surgical suite. If something goes seriously wrong, there's no medevac. There's just whatever skills and supplies are already inside. The winter over isn't an adventure. It's a controlled experiment in human isolation at the coldest, driest, highest, and darkest place humans have ever lived. And now, let's talk about fuel, because fuel is everything. Every human activity, heating, boiling water, powering computers, melting ice, requires fuel. And that fuel didn't come from Antarctica. It was refined on another continent, loaded onto ships, and transported thousands of miles through one of 3 supply chains that are all expensive and dangerous. Coastal stations get fuel once per year via tanker ships that need icebreakers to clear a path. The window is late December through February when sea ice is thinnest. Miss it and you're done until next year. Inland stations rely on LC-130 cargo planes flying from McMurdo over the Transantarctic Mountains, weather dependent, limited by weight capacity. Or they use the South Pole Traverse, tractors pulling cargo sleds across the ice sheet for weeks, navigating crevasse fields. Every gallon of fuel at an inland station represents weeks of planning and thousands of miles of transport. That fuel powers the generators, pumps, heating, kitchen equipment, labs, and ventilation that keeps air breathable. Without fuel, the station dies. Everyone inside dies with it. The annual fuel allocation is calculated with precision. Engineers project consumption for every system and add a safety margin for failures or extreme weather. The margin isn't generous. If consumption exceeds projections, there's no resupply until next year. The consequence is operational failure. Resource conservation isn't a suggestion. It's survival enforced by math. Waste fuel, and you're gambling with everyone's lives. Water is the most energy-intensive resource. Coastal bases desalinate seawater. Inland bases melt ice. Both consume massive fuel. Coastal stations use reverse osmosis. Seawater forced through membranes at high pressure. The pumps eat electricity. The membranes are delicate and expensive to replace. Inland stations use snow melters or ice wells. The South Pole drills deep into the ice sheet and lowers hot water pipes that melt the surrounding ice, carving out an underground cavern. Pumps draw water from this hidden reservoir. Both systems convert fuel into water at a fixed rate. That rate determines exactly how much water each person can use. Enter the Navy shower protocol. 2 minutes, twice per week. That's it. 30 seconds to get wet, turn water off, lather with soap, 90 seconds to rinse. Timers are installed in showers to enforce this. Laundry, 1 load per week. Communal machines, sign-up schedule. The social enforcement is absolute. Wasting water isn't just bad, it's betrayal. A 10-minute shower means someone else's laundry gets delayed. The fuel margin gets tighter. Everyone's safety gets compromised. The social contract is brutal and simple. Discipline protects everyone. Selfishness endangers everyone. Food arrives once per year. The food that shows up in December and January has to last until next December. The station chef and food manager plan every meal for every person for 365 days, a full year in advance. They calculate daily calories, 3,500 to 5,000 per person, because extreme cold and labor burn energy fast. They account for dietary restrictions. Then they place one massive order. Forget an ingredient, it's gone for a year. Underestimate consumption, it runs out and doesn't come back. Zero margin for error. The first summer flights bring freshies, fresh fruits and vegetables. People who haven't tasted a fresh apple in 8 months drop everything to help unload cargo. Freshies get rationed and served at communal meals, but freshies don't last. By March, when winter sets in, fresh food is gone. From March to October, the diet is entirely frozen, canned, and dried goods. An Antarctic chef's skill is transforming shelf-stable, months-old supplies into meals that taste good and maintain morale. The chef who delivers surprises, fresh-baked bread, cookies, a birthday cake from powdered eggs, becomes a hero. The chef who can't makes winter unbearable. The galley operates 24/7, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and mid-rats, midnight rations for night shift. Meal times are mandatory social events. The crew gathers, sits, eats, talks. This prevents isolation within isolation. Some stations have hydroponic greenhouses growing lettuce, herbs, tomatoes. The nutritional contribution is modest. The psychological contribution is enormous. During 6-month winter, when everything outside is frozen and lifeless, the greenhouse is the only place on the continent where something grows. It's warm, humid, smells like soil. Greenhouse duty is coveted because it provides 30 minutes of sensory relief. The human body needs a 24-hour light-dark cycle. Sunlight suppresses melatonin, you feel awake. Darkness releases melatonin, you feel sleepy. Antarctica removes this cycle. During summer, November through February, the sun never sets. It circles the sky. Your brain never gets the sleep signal. People feel wide awake at 2 a.m., then can't focus during work. Reaction times dull. Judgment fails. Irritability spikes. Blackout curtains become critical equipment. They must block all light, eliminate it. Only in complete darkness will the brain produce melatonin. Then winter arrives, March through October. The sun never rises. Without light, the body's clock drifts. Sleep cycles shift later each day. Circadian phase delay. People feel exhausted during work, but can't sleep at night with a perpetual jet lag. Seasonal affective disorder becomes nearly universal. Depression, low energy, irritability, social withdrawal. The solution is artificially imposing a daylight cycle with absolute discipline, strict sleep schedules, bed at 10 p.m., wake at 6:20 a.m., no exceptions. Even on days off, light therapy is mandatory during winter. Every morning, people sit in front of high-intensity light boxes emitting 10,000 lux, mimicking sunlight. 30 minutes resets the circadian clock. Exercise is the other countermeasure. Antarctic stations have gyms with weights, cardio machines, basketball courts. Intense exercise regulates mood, burns stress, and exhausts the body enough to sleep even without circadian cues. Even with all this, sleep remains difficult. Stations operate 24/7. Generators hum constantly. Ventilation systems roar. Earplugs are standard issue. At the South Pole's newer station, most rooms are single occupancy. That privacy isn't luxury. It's psychological necessity, a space to retreat and decompress. Sleep in Antarctica isn't rest. It's an active countermeasure. It requires blackout curtains, light therapy, strict schedules, exercise, and social enforcement. Treating the body like a machine needing specific inputs at specific times to keep functioning. The 54-hour, 6-day work week is the backbone. Technicians maintain generators, scientists run experiments, kitchen staff prepare meals. Everyone has a role. Work provides structure and purpose. But work alone isn't enough. Rituals are essential. Rituals aren't leisure. They're engineered cultural events providing psychological relief, marking time, and reinforcing group cohesion under extreme duress. The most important is Midwinter's Day, June 21st, the winter solstice, the darkest day, the exact halfway point. Midwinter is Antarctic Christmas. The galley staff plans an elaborate feast. Multiple courses, decorations. People exchange handmade gifts crafted from scrap materials and repurposed equipment. Messages get read from other Antarctic stations, creating connection. Film traditions matter too. The South Pole watches The Shining after the last flight. Many stations screen The Thing, Carpenter's horror film, where an alien kills and imitates an Antarctic crew. These let the crew confront fears collectively and diffuse them through dark humor. The 300 Club is unique to the South Pole, only possible when temperature drops below -100 Fahrenheit. Participants heat the sauna to +200. They sit until overheated. Then, wearing only boots, they run outside into -100 cold, circle the South Pole marker, and sprint back before frostbite sets in. 300-degree temperature differential. Less than a minute exposure. It's dangerous, but it transforms environmental hostility into a badge of honor. These rituals aren't trivial. They're cultural infrastructure making it possible for people to remain functional when locked in a building for 8 months of darkness with no escape and no rescue. Under the Antarctic Treaty, nothing gets left behind. International law. Every piece of trash, every broken part, every drop of waste must be removed from the continent. Every station has a waste sorting room with separate bins. Food scraps, plastic by type, glass by color, metals, hazardous waste. Sorting is mandatory, enforced through rotating gash duty. Everyone takes turns. The scientist running million-dollar experiments, sorting trash, the station manager sorting trash. Sewage gets processed in advanced wastewater treatment plants. The system breaks down solid waste and purifies water, sometimes reusing it for flushing toilets. The remaining sludge gets compacted, dried, and stored in sealed containers. Every waste category gets tracked and prepared for retrograde, the annual process of loading everything onto ships or planes and removing it. Retrograde is massive logistics. Waste must be containerized and loaded in specific order for safe transport. The zero waste mandate extends to everything. Broken equipment can't be abandoned. Fuel barrels can't be buried. Construction debris can't be left. Every item that arrives will eventually leave. The continent is a closed system. Human activity is allowed only if it leaves no trace. October arrives. After 8 months, temperature rises, still far below zero, but warm enough, aircraft hydraulics can function. The first LC-130 of spring makes the flight from McMurdo to the South Pole. The crew hears it before they see it, turboprop engines echoing across ice. Then it appears, descending, touching down in snow spray. The winter-over crew emerges. They survived. They consumed food ordered a year in advance, made water from ice using fuel that traveled 10,000 miles, tricked their bodies into sleeping with blackout curtains and light therapy, maintained discipline over showers, laundry, waste, worked 54-hour weeks, exercised against depression, gathered for meals, celebrated midwinter, designed a new South Pole marker, held together. The cost of being human in Antarctica is measured in tons of fuel, months of planning, and constant effort to force biology and psychology to function where they never should. The 2-minute shower, the strict sleep schedule, the formal midwinter feast. These aren't luxuries, they're infrastructure. They're scaffolding, preventing people from breaking under isolation, darkness, cold, and time. The first flight brings new personnel, fresh supplies, mail. It brings knowledge that winter is over. The world still exists. And isolation wasn't permanent. But for the winter over crew, something changed. They lived through conditions most humans never experience. They learned what it costs to eat, sleep, and stay clean in the coldest, driest, darkest, most isolated place on Earth. And they learned it's possible. Not easy, but possible. If systems are well designed, discipline is absolute. And the group holds together. The cargo doors open, resupply begins, life continues. Because that's what humans do, even at the bottom of the world, even when the planet says no. We find a way. We build systems. We enforce discipline. We create rituals. We hold on. And when spring comes, we're still standing. If this made you rethink what survival means, there's another story waiting that'll blow your mind even more.